I would request Surbi Kunjat Mataji to lead today.
Who's that? Surbi Kunj. All right. A request from Mukesh to Surbi Kunj. She can sing. Okay. All right, Mukesh Prabhu, your turn now.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Your mic is mute, Prabhu.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikacharya Astotar Sushma Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikacharya Astotar Sushma Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोधाम की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मथुरा धाम की जय. मायापुर नंदी धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय. तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय. समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gaura.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. And thank you, Mukesh Prabhu, for leading Kirtan. And welcome everyone to Srimad-Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends. Tonight it is Wednesday, August 30th, 2023. Balaram Jayanti in this part of the world. And we're reading tonight in the Srimad-Bhagavatam third canto, chapter 23. Tonight starting with verse number 3. Is that correct, Panditji?
Yes, sir.
And very much looking forward to everyone's participation while Maharaj rests his voice. And we're looking forward to hearing from you in every way. So thank you, Maharaj, for being with us. And Jai, Jai, Jai.
Thank you. So we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, text number 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Visrujya Kamam Dambacha Dvesham Lobam Adham Madam Apramadyodyata Nityam Tejiyam Samatoshayat. Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, sinful activities, and vanity. Purport. Here are some of the qualities of a great husband's great wife. Kardama Muni is a great by spiritual qualification. Such a husband is called Tejiyam Sam, most powerful. Although a wife may be equal to her husband in advancement in spiritual consciousness, she should not be vainly proud. Sometimes it happens that the wife comes from a very rich family, as did Devahuti, the daughter of Emperor Swayambhu Manu. She could have been very proud of her parentage, but that is forbidden. The wife should not be proud of her parental position. She must always be submissive to the husband and must give up all vanity. As soon as the wife becomes proud of her parentage, her pride creates great misunderstanding between the husband and wife, and their nuptial life is ruined. Devahuti was very careful about that, and therefore it is said here that she gave up pride completely. Devahuti was not unfaithful. The most sinful activity for a wife is to accept another husband or another lover. Chanakya Pandit has described 4 kinds of enemies at home. If the father is in debt, he is considered to be an enemy. If the mother has selected another husband in the presence of her grown-up children, she is considered to be an enemy. If a wife does not live well with her husband, but deals very roughly, then she is an enemy. And if her son is a fool, he is also an enemy. In family life, father, mother, wife, and children are assets. But if the wife or mother accepts another husband in the presence of her husband or son, then according to Vedic civilization, she is considered an enemy. A chaste and faithful woman must not practice adultery. That is very greatly sinful act. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumlitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Sapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhantitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namasute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you, Maharaj, for giving me an opportunity to lead and here, and everybody happy Balram Jayanti to everybody. Here some of the thing mentioned, like lust, pride, greed, envy, sinful activity, apramatta. And all these bad qualities, she gave up. Giving up all lust, yes, she gave up. And diligently serving her husband, the great Kardama Muni. It's important that we live peacefully in our Grihastha life. Everybody has to give and take and develop Krishna consciousness nicely. If husband and wife cooperate each other and serve Krishna combinedly, that the house becomes like a paradise. Okay, Saraswati has a hands up.
Dandavats to everyone. We are told repeatedly how the crowning glory of a woman is her chastity, her shyness, modesty is her ornaments. And we have many examples of chaste women, even wives of demons, like Mandotari married to Ravana, a very chaste wife. And I can't recall the name of a rishi, but I'm remembering a rishi who took the form of a glowworm, and a king and his daughter came to visit his hut, and she unknowingly pierced the glowworm. And the result of that was that the rishi asked the king for the hand of his daughter. Oh, right, Maharaj has given the name. And what was really standing out to me was that this was an very old, very unattractive rishi, from my understanding, who through his yogic powers gained some beautiful youthful form. And when he approached her in affection, she didn't know this was her husband, and she rejected his advances. So she was so chaste that even if her husband is old or not very attractive, she was still very chaste. I'm also thinking conversely, just as a woman's crowning glory is her chastity, so it is that the husband, he protects such a woman, his wife. And we found many examples where any man who dares to covet another man's wife is severely punished. We see in the example of how Ravana was punished for abducting Sita Devi. Then we know that Vali was severely punished by Lord Ram for coveting his brother Sugriv's wife, Ruma. And also Jayadvaita tried to abduct Draupadi when the Pandavas were in exile in the forest. So these examples clearly states how no one is supposed to accept the behavior of a man coveting another man's wife. I wanted to give an example recently of what happened. Well, it was quite a while ago while I was in Baroda in Gujarat. A very distant, and let me state, very distant relative. He came with his wife from USA, and he put on a T-shirt thinking himself very clever with the wording, what was this wording? Will sell wife for beer, no returns. And he was told by all the elders in the family that how offensive that wording is, and to completely take that out. He had a very meek wife, very nice wife, but she was very not weak, meek and submissive to him. So, but he didn't listen. So he went out to the market wearing this offensive worded T-shirt, came back completely disheveled, beaten up. His clothes were all ripped up. And, whoever beat him up, obviously it wasn't because alcohol is prohibited in Gujarat. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Well, thank you for your input. Nice. Surabhi Kunja, you want to read from chat box, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Ekendra Prabhu says, interesting how Srila Prabhupada occasionally quotes Chanakya. One could say, Chanakya slokas are not on the same level as Bhagavatam slokas. Why should we listen to them? But Srila Prabhupada saw fit to include them in his Bhaktivedanta purports. So these things must be helpful for us to know. They must be supportive of devotional service. And Maharaj says, a devotee is sane, one of the 6 qualities of a devotee. When the 26 qualities were recited, we used to chuckle over that one. Ekendra Prabhu says Kichaka was also severely chastised by Bhima for coveting Draupadi. And Ananta Shesh Prabhu says, coveting another man's wife is listed as one of the topmost sins, isn't it?
Thank you very much. Tulsi Priya is saying something.
Yes. Tulsi Priya Mataji says, I was listening to a seminar by a very traditional sannyasi, and he made the point that if the husband is actually the leader of the home, then he has to lead by example. If he wants the wife to be humble, he has to be humble. If he wants her to serve nicely, he should demonstrate that attitude. The sad fact is that many women in the Western world do not have proper training, so the husband can train by example. It was an eye-opening perspective, and it made me think about how my own husband sets the example, and I should try to live up to that. Simply mandating behavior isn't so effective. There has to be respect, affection, and love. And Maharaj says, in the 10 commandments, it is referring to about coveting another man's wife being sinful.
Thank you. Thank you. And also in our Krishna conscious movement in ISKCON, we address the opposite sex as Mataji. So that reminds us that everybody is our mother except his own wife. And that helps a lot, if you have any tinge of anything in your mind, when you say Mataji, then it just reminds you that you should be in a straight line. All right, Mukesh Prabhu. Next, please. Number 4 and 5.
Oh, Prabhu, there's still another comment in the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
Ananta Shesh Prabhu says, Ekendra Prabhu equals humility. And Ekendra Prabhu says, Srila Prabhupada says, her pride creates great misunderstanding between the husband and wife, and their nuptial life is ruined.
Mm.
It seems that misunderstanding is a key problem.
Yes. All right, let's go ahead. Anything else?
Oh, and he says communication is not always easy.
Yeah, somehow you have to communicate. Make it life easier. All right, that's the end now. Go ahead.
Savai Devarshi Varyastam Manas Vim Samanur Vratam Daivat Garya Garyasa Patyur Asasanam Mahasisa Kalena Bhuyasa Shamam Karshitam Vratacharyaya Prema Gadaya Vacha Pidita Kripaya Bravit. Translation. The daughter of Manu, who was fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as great even than providence. Thus, she expected great blessings from him. Having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. Seeing her condition, Kardamma, the foremost of celestial sages, was overcome with compassion and spoke to her in a voice choked with great love. Purport. The wife is expected to be of the same category as the husband. She must be prepared to follow principles of the husband, and then there will be happy life. If the husband is a devotee and the wife is materialistic, there cannot be any peace in the home. The wife must see the tendencies of the husband and must be prepared to follow him. From Mahabharata, we learn that when Gandhari understood that her would-be husband Dhritarashtra was blind, she immediately began to practice blindness herself. Thus, she covered her eyes and played the part of blind woman. She decided that since her husband was blind, she must also act like a blind woman. Otherwise, she would be proud of her eyes and her husband would be seen as inferior. The word Samanuvrata indicates that it is the duty of a wife to adopt the special circumstances in which the husband is situated. Of course, if the husband is as great as Kardama Muni, then a very good result accrues from following him. But even if the husband is not a great devotee like Kardama Muni, it is the wife's duty to adapt herself according to his mentality. Then that makes married life very happy. It is also mentioned herein that by following strict vows of a chaste woman, Princess Devahuti became very skinny, and therefore her husband became compassionate. He knew that she was daughter of a great king and yet was serving him just like an ordinary woman. She was reduced in health by such activities, and he became compassionate and addressed her as follows.
Yes. So you get so much benefit by serving husband and vice versa. If the husband is getting some benefit, I think half it goes to the wife. And I don't know about wives, but that's what he said. Just like if the king is very pious and rules nicely, then all the citizens' pious activity, king receives all that benefit also. Okay, Saraswati has a hand up, please.
When I was looking at this word, Samanuvrata, where it indicates that it's the duty of a wife to adopt the special circumstances in which the husband is situated. I don't know, today but my mind has been thinking about the Ramayana, and we all know Sita Devi's devotion to Lord Rama, but I was particularly it struck me today how Lakshman, before he left for the forest, he said to his wife, Urmila, that you are not to shed a single tear due to this separation, but you have to have a smile on your face, so that when my mothers, who are so so stricken with grief, that they find you not with a face with tears, but a smile, so that they can gain some strength. So I was thinking that was so beautiful, that such a chaste wife like Urmila, we don't hear so much about her and her devotion to her husband. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your input. Let's see. Anything in the chat box? Do we have anything? Tulsi Priyamati.
Oh, I just wanted to say that this idea of adapting oneself to the husband, it can be seen in ordinary marriages, but the thing is, women don't usually learn this until after they're at least on their second husband, and the first marriage is war, total war, and splits up, and then the woman, especially if she has kids, realizes that life isn't better, without the husband, even if he wasn't so great. And then they try to find another husband. And if they have any intelligence at all, then they look at, they think, okay, I have to adjust myself. I have to learn how to get along. So might as well do it from the beginning.
Yes, it's a learning curve. And if you don't wake up, then like you have to go through all that thing. Okay,
I just wanted to add one more thing. One time I was manning a book table for Satsuru Maharaj's books, and next to me at a festival, and next to me was someone from the Grihastha Vision team. And I was joking with her, and I said, what the key, how the key to a long marriage is? And she said, what? I said, don't get divorced. And she said, that's not enough. And I said, yes, if you don't have it as an option, then you automatically have the impetus, you have the will to make it work. But if you think that divorce is an option, then you're not, it's like if you're in a room with an exit sign, that's where you're going to go to get out, but if there is no exit sign, then you stay in the room and figure it out. But, that's the thing. We think there is the option. And so we don't try. Surabhi
Mataji, please read from the chat.
Okay, Ekendra Prabhu says, Srila Vishwanath comments on verses 4 and 5. Kardama was stronger than destiny. Daivat Kari Yasa. He could change destiny. There is another meaning. She had given up all desire, but after some time, by the impetus of the Lord, Daivat, she desired some objects of pleasure. Pained on seeing her thin body, with compassion he spoke to her. And Ananta Shesh Prabhu says, on the other hand, if only the husband is materialistic, then there is a high likelihood that husband can be influenced to be less materialistic. During times of separation, the wife putting up a brave front helps the husband tremendously. And Praveen Krishna Prabhu has a question. Srila Prabhupada says, her pride creates great misunderstanding between the husband and wife, and their nuptial life is ruined. It seems that Prabhupada is alluding the fault to her pride. It seems the husband is not held responsible. We know that there are irresponsible husbands too. What should the chaste wife do with an irresponsible husband?
Just stick with him. You have to just bear the load. Because Srila Prabhupada gave an example of her own sister. And then just advise her to just stick with the husband. That is the best way. Okay, next, Maharaj says something.
Okay, Maharaj replies to Praveen's question. If he's too irresponsible, the wife may take shelter of her father again. And Ekendra Prabhu says, another option for a chaste wife with an irresponsible husband will be to try to reform him by any and all means necessary. And Maharaj says, Srila Prabhupada said, they can separate but no divorce. And I'll just read the comments above. Maharaj said, on the bookshelf of a divorced woman, I saw a book condemning the syndrome of a husband who expects to be treated as if he were the one in charge. And Ekendra Prabhu says, we don't hear that Dhritarashtra made any adjustments to get his act together, so he'd be a proper role model for his wife. And And Tulsi Priya Mataji says, I'm not saying that divorce is never an option, but too many couples see it as the first resort and not the last. And she says, Prabhupada permitted, encouraged, a disciple who was being beaten by her non-devotee husband to leave him. Mukesh Prabhu says, if a husband treats wife as if he has to serve her by giving her love, care, and attention, and the wife gives husband respect, submissively tries to understand the husband's will and loves him in her own sweet way, there can be harmony in family life. Ananta Shesh says, the problem is there can't be two heads of household. And Maharaj says, all the stuff about irresponsible husbands argues for the importance of the brahmachari ashram. If a husband is well trained as a brahmachari, he can become a fit husband.
I remember Maharaj I think it was during the, I don't know if it was Vanaprastha Adventure series, but he was bringing up, or maybe it was some other discussion some long ago, where he brought up the point that, so many devotees in ISKCON in the Grihastha ashram say, oh, well, most brahmacharis wind up getting married anyways. So they sort of minimize the importance of brahmacharya. But the point is, as he's saying, that if a young man is trained well as a brahmachari, then he's going to be a better husband because he learns sense control and humility and all those things that are necessary. And so it's not something that it's an automatic progression from brahmacharya to grihastha. So you don't need to focus on grihastha first. You need to focus on brahmacharya first, and then it'll evolve from that position.
Tulsi Priya Mata, you want to read next one, please?
Okay, what number are we on? Sorry.
Number 6. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, there's just two more comments in the chat. Maharaj says, or else he can stay brahmachari, and then being an irresponsible husband is out of the question. And Praveen Krishna Prabhu posts a verse, Premna Nuvritya Shilena Prashraya Vanata Sati Piya Riyacha Bhavagya Partu Sita Haranmana. Mother Sita was very submissive, faithful, shy, and chaste, always understanding the attitude of her husband. Thus, by her character and her love and service, she completely attracted the mind of the Lord. And Mukesh Prabhu says, Arjuna is such an exemplary example of an ideal husband. He is Jitendriya, one who has conquered his mind and senses.
Okay, number 6.
Text 6. Kardama uvacha dusto hamadyatava manavi. Wait, let's start over again. Dusto hamadyatava manavi manadaya. I don't know what the meter is. Shushushaya paramaya parayacha bhaktya yode hinamayam atti vasuhrit sadeho navekshita samuchita kshapitum mad arte. Kardama Muni said, O respectful daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf. Purport. It is indicated here that one's body is very dear, yet Devahuti was so faithful to her husband that not only did she serve him with great devotion, service, and respect, but she did not even care for her own health. That is called selfless service. It appears that Devahuti had no sense pleasure even with her husband. Otherwise, she would not have deteriorated in health. Acting to facilitate Kardama Muni's engagement in spiritual elevation, She continually assisted him, not caring for bodily comfort. It is the duty of a faithful and chaste wife to help her husband in every respect, especially when the husband is engaged in Krishna consciousness. In this case, the husband also amply rewarded the wife. This is not to be expected by a woman who is the wife of an ordinary person.
Thank you. All right, let's go to next. Surbhi Mataji. Surbhi Kond.
Oh, I think Ekendra Prabhu wrote any comments in the chat.
I'm just going to say that it goes back to what I was saying before, is that you need to make it work, if it's at all possible, not with somebody, not necessarily with somebody abusive or but if it's just difficulties, they're going to be there regardless. So just deal with it, deal with it. And I guess the main thing is to see yourself as a servant, you have to serve somebody, and why not serve the person who you're most intimate with? So, to the best of your ability. It's not, sometimes we make these artificial standards, and we have standards in the Shastra, but if we can't live up to them, it's not something to feel like, oh, well, if I can't do it, then I shouldn't even try. It's just you try, and we're not Devahuti either. So it's not necessarily that you're not being demanded that you starve yourself or run yourself into the ground, but follow in the footsteps, develop the mentality that, yes, this is the dearmost person to me, and I'm here to serve them. But a lot of women now, it's like there's this whole idea you're marrying somebody because you love them, but then you have to somehow show that you're not going to be dominated, not even by love. So if you're not going to serve someone out of love, then what you're really saying is that you're there so that they can serve you, because Lord knows we hear people often enough that, the husband doesn't do this. And I'm not saying that it isn't like that there isn't like equal selfishness on both sides, but the zeitgeist, the mood of the culture is that you're not a real woman unless you're constantly demanding your rights and not allowing yourself to be ever dominated or ever controlled or ever. And those words aren't even very good. They have such a bad connotation to them. But the fact is that you are controlled by love, and never mind duty. We won't even talk about duty. But I just think, you have all these women who are career women, and I'm independent. And yet what happens if the husband gets a promotion and you have to move across the country? The wife packs up her stuff and goes, or you have women who spend years in school and get an MBA or, go to law school or whatever. And then they start getting close to age 35. It's like, wait a minute, I want to have a baby and I want to stay at home, So if that's the case, if that's the normal course of events, why do you assert so much that gets in the way? It's crazy. It's like you have women who don't have children at a normal age, and then they're spending tens of thousands of dollars on fertility treatments because they waited so long, and all the suffering, and that leads to breakups of marriages. So it's just everything's topsy-turvy and crazy.
Thank you. Very well said. Let's go to chat box. Surbhi Kunj.
Radesha Prabhu says, reminds me of another verse in 10th canto. Sandipani said, "O my children, you have suffered so much for my sake. The body is most dear to every living creature, but you are so dedicated to me that you completely disregarded your own comfort." And Ekendra Prabhu says, we get the chance to practice selfless service in every ashram to train us for serving Krishna. And Ananta Shesh Prabhu said, selfless service are the key words there. Radesha Prabhu says, Brahmachari Gurukula Vasan Danto Gurohitam. Service to the spiritual master takes precedence above bodily comfort. And Kendra Prabhu says, I found the sentence humorous. This is not to be expected by a woman who is the wife of an ordinary person, perhaps because I am an ordinary person. Saraswati Mataji said, recently I hear more in the community that some men don't want a shy wife that they think is prudish and boring, so they want a daring, bold woman that is not so modest and does not shy from her sexuality.
You do get what you deserve. Go ahead.
Mukesh Prabhu says, in Srila Prabhupada's lecture of 23rd November 68, Krishna says that you have to give up all this nonsense on the mental platform and bodily platform. You have come to the transcendental platform. And what is that transcendental platform? To understand your relationship with Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness.
Nice, Haribol.
And Maharaj says, forget the airplane, girls.
All right, Surabhi Kunji. Oh, we have Tulsi Priya.
Tulsi Priya Mataji says, a loving wife doesn't think of her husband as ordinary.
Okay, next. Number 7.
Okay. Ye me swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi vidyatma yoga vijita bhagavat prasada tan eva te mar anusevanaya parudan tristim prapasya vitaram ya abhayan ashokan. Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. Purport. Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kardama Muni. She was not supposed to be so advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, or Krishna consciousness, but imperceptibly she was sharing her husband's achievements, which she could neither see nor experience. Automatically, she achieved these graces of the Lord. What are the graces of the Lord? It is stated here that the graces of the Lord are abhaya, free from fearfulness. In the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, he is always full of fear because he is always thinking, what if the money is lost? But the benediction of the Lord, Bhagavat Prasada, is never to be lost. It is simply to be enjoyed. There is no question of loss. One simply gains and enjoys gaining. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. When one achieves the grace of the Lord, the result is that sarva dukkani, all distresses, are destroyed. When situated in the transcendental position, one is freed from the 2 kinds of material diseases, hankering and lamentation. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. After devotional life begins, we can achieve the full result of love of Godhead. Love of Krishna is the highest perfection of Bhagavat Prasad, or divine mercy. This transcendental achievement is so greatly valuable that no material happiness can compare to it. Prabodhananda Saraswati said that if one achieves the grace of Lord Chaitanya, he becomes so great that he does not care a fig even for the demigods. He thinks of monism as hellish, and for him the perfection of controlling the senses is as easy as anything. Heavenly pleasures become to him no more than stories. Actually, there is no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness. By the grace of Kardama Muni, Devahuti experienced actual realization simply by serving. We get a similar example in the life of Narad Muni. In his previous life, Narada was a maidservant's son, but his mother was engaged in the service of great devotees. He got the opportunity to serve the devotees, and simply by eating the remnants of their foodstuff and carrying out their orders, he became so elevated that in his next life he became the great personality Narada. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. That is the secret of success. As stated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada. By serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband, Kardama Muni, Devahuti shared in his achievements. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously.
You want to say something, please?
I'm just digesting all of this. I like the comparison with the guru-disciple relationship and how just by being a sincere servant of our spiritual master, we can receive all their blessings and mercy. And the blessings are given theirs, fearlessness and what else was said? Let me check.
Hankering and lamentation.
Yes. All distresses are destroyed. So, I think I'm thinking of Prabhupada and how women can receive initiation now and have a spiritual master. And previously it was the husband was the spiritual master. So I'm grateful to have a spiritual master. And there's some comments in the chat box.
Yes, go ahead.
Maharaj says, Yam labdva chaparam labam from Bhagavad Gita. And Mukesh Prabhu says, Maharaj, I was just curious to know, where was Srila Prabhupada while translating this canto? Will you please share if you can recall? Maharaj says, I don't recall.
Okay, let's go next. Ekendra Prabhu says.
Ekendra Prabhu says, in case it might be helpful, this section of verses 6 to 11 is in Brahma Samhita Mita. And Maharaj says, you'd need to look at the publication date and the Srila Prabhupada timeline published on Banipedia.
Okay. I would like Saraswati Mataji to lead, please.
Oh, sorry. Tulsi Priya Mataji has a comment. I firmly believe that as time goes on in ISKCON, more devotee women will accept their husbands as spiritual masters. The women will look for spiritual qualities in their husbands, and husbands will manifest those qualities more and more.
Okay, thanks.
Text 8. Anya punar bhagavato pruva udvijramba vibrahma sitarta rachana kim uru kramashya siddhasi punkshva vibhavanija dharmadohan divyanerer duryadikan nripa vikriyabhi. Translation. Kardama Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts, very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possessions. Purport. Lord Chaitanya recommended that the greatest achievement of human life is to achieve the grace of the Lord, love of God. He said, Prema Punartha Mahan, to achieve love of Godhead is the highest perfection of life. The same perfection is recommended by Kardama Muni to his wife. His wife belonged to a very aristocratic royal family. Generally, those who are very materialistic or who possess material wealth and prosperity are unable to appreciate the value of transcendental love of God. Although Devahuti was a princess coming from a very great royal family, fortunately, she was under the supervision of her great husband, Kardama Muni, who offered her the best gift which can be bestowed in human life, the grace of the Lord, or love of God. This grace of the Lord was achieved by Devahuti by the good will and satisfaction of her husband. She served her husband, who was a great devotee and saintly person, with great sincerity, love, affection, and service. And Kardama Muni was satisfied. He willingly gave love of God, and he recommended that she accept it and enjoy it because he had already achieved it. Love of God is not an ordinary commodity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was worshipped by Rupa Goswami because he distributed love of God, Krishna Prema, to everyone. Rupa Goswami praised him as Mahavadanya, a great munificent personality, because he was freely distributing to everyone love of Godhead, which is achieved by wise men only after many, many births. Krishna Prema, Krishna consciousness, is the highest gift which can be bestowed on anyone whom we presume to love. One word used in this verse, Nija Dharma Dohan, is very significant. Devahuti, as a wife of Kardama Muni, achieved an invaluable gift from her husband because she was very faithful to him. For a woman, the first principle of religion is to be faithful to her husband. If, fortunately, the husband is a great personality, then the combination is perfect and the lives of both the wife and the husband are at once fulfilled. So it's quite evident that the goal of everyone's life should be to attain Krishna Prema. But here we can see very clearly that even if Devahuti couldn't match Kardama Muni's level of austerity and realizations, the fact that she served him selflessly and with complete devotion and confidence that her husband was a pure devotee, and therefore by serving him, she felt confident that her husband will protect her in the form of giving her Krishna consciousness, which is really the greatest gift anyone can give to another. And so we can see that even if she could not match his level of austerity or had his knowledge or his realization, regardless of that, because she satisfied him, he was very happy to bestow her everything that he had gained from devotional service to her. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And just like you said, the greatest achievement one can achieve is achievement of love of Godhead. Prema Pumartho Mahan. Yeah, we all have to strive for that, at least. And how do we get it? In this age of Kali, just by chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Okay, now we have, is Venkatesh here? No?
There's a few comments in the chat.
Sure.
Praveen Krishna Prabhu says, there is a famous temple of the chaste wife of Saint Tukaram of Maharashtra, where the wife of the great saint was carrying lunch for her husband. She was pricked by a thorn in her foot, and Lord Vital comes to serve the servant of his pure devotee, although she never directly worshipped Krishna.
I see Dana Mataji. Would you like to read something?
There's still another comment.
Uh-huh.
Ekendra Prabhu said, interesting purport by Srila Vishwanath. The objects of Swarga enjoyed by Indra's wife are filled with fear and lamentation. Are they all not insignificant? These have been attained by your loyalty to your husband, Nija Dharma Dohan. They are hard to obtain for those who disfigure themselves with identity as king or queen. And Maharaj says, disfigured. Wonderful.
Radesh Prabhu.
Dana is present.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay. Dana, let's go.
Hare Krishna, I'm sorry, I'm driving at the moment, so I won't be able to
Okay.
read, but I will when I stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Next time. Yes. Radesh Prabhu, you go ahead.
Can I read while I'm on the same device I'm looking at?
Oh, yeah, sure. You can do that. Yeah.
All right. Which
Oh, number 9.
verse is
Number 9. You are cutting. Let's see. You have to fix your.
verse 8? 9.
Number
Maybe
9.
I shouldn't read.
Maharaj says not enough bandwidth for Radesha.
It's okay.
Next time.
All right. Yeah, please get ready for next time. All right. Who do we have?
I'll read it. I'll do it.
Oh, sure. Please. Thank you.
Evang Bruvanam Abhilakila Yoga Maya Vidya Vichakshanam Avikshya Gatadirasit Samprashraya Pranaya Vivalaya Gireshad Vridavaloka Vilasad Dasinanaha Dasinana. I'm sorry. Vridavaloka Vilasad Dasitananaha. Maybe Panditji, you can read the translation, etc.
Okay. Translation. I'll read. Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devhuti was very satisfied. Her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance, she spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love. It is said that if one is already engaged in Krishna consciousness and is rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord, then it can be supposed that he has finished all the recommended courses of austerity, penance, religion, sacrifice, mystic yoga, and meditation. Devhuti's husband was so expert in the transcendental science that there was nothing for him to argue about. And when she heard him speaking, she was confident that since he was very much advanced in devotional service, he had already surpassed all transcendental educational services. She had no doubt about the gift offered by her husband. She knew that he was expert in offering such a gift. And when she understood that he was offering the greatest gift, she was very satisfied. She was overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and therefore she could not reply them. Then, with faltering language, just like an attractive wife, she spoke the following words. Devhuti Uvacha. Let's see. Surbi Mataji, Surbi Kunj. Number 10.
I think we're out of time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Sorry. Yes, we are out of time. Let's see. We have Krishna Kaunteya Prabhu. Please.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikacharya Stotar Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikacharya Astotar Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोधाम की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मथुरा धाम की जय. मायापुर नदी धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा मई यमुना मई की जय. तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय. समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gaura.
Jai. Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Thank you, Krishna Kanteya Prabhu. Jai. Maharaj had a note in the chat box that on Friday, when we revisit this text, that it's worth looking again at Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport to this verse, which is verse number 9. He goes on at quite some length. So I'll make a note of that.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for being here, because you might have gone to CNJ program. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone, so much for your participation, and thank you, Maharaj, for your participation and inspiration. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Haribol.